John, thank you so much for joining Eau Claire Friends for pre-worship enrichment. It's over to you.
Good morning, friends. It's awfully nice to be here with you, both to be in a friends meeting. I have been a friend all my entire adult life after having been raised a Catholic in Wausau, Wisconsin. Eau Claire is always where I thought I would end up going to college because it was nearest my mother's hometown of Arcadia, Wisconsin. And I went to a gathering of people from my high school interested in Eau Claire State, and half my senior class was there. And I immediately thought, no, I've been to high school. And as sort of a prophetic sign, the next day I got a mailing from St. John's University in Minnesota, and that is where I went. And it seems to have been a prophetic kind of place for me to go. I would not be here were it not for the extremely long leash that that St. John's gave me. I left the campus in the fall of 1972 in search of. I was learning to play the banjo, which was a fool's errand in northern Minnesota in 1970, and so I knew that I needed to go someplace where this music that I was attracted to was a part of daily life, and I convinced my advisor to allow me to spend a 3-month independent study hitchhiking around the Appalachians and meeting banjo players. And it is a 3-month independent study that I am still on 52 years later. It's a big, big subject. And which brings me to what I wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you about this morning before we go into meeting for worship. It felt to me as a young 20-year-old that what I was embarking on that August afternoon that I walked down to the end of our farm drive and stuck out my thumb, that what I was embarking on was a pilgrimage. And it was something I didn't know to call it that at the time, but I knew that I was embarking on something that didn't have a prescribed destination for it. Rabbi Heschel described faith not as the being tied to a shrine, but rather the endless pilgrimage of the heart. And here I am, 52 years later, about to embark on another pilgrimage of a very different sort. In May, I'm going to be walking the Camino de Santiago de Compostela. I imagine most of you are familiar with the Camino. It is a 500-mile, 800-kilometer pilgrimage from the Pyrenees of southwestern France to the town of Santiago de Compostela. Santiago, of course, means St. James, and Compostela is sort of a mashup of both Spanish and Latin, which is roughly translated into Field of Stars. It's the most beautiful name for a city I can possibly imagine. And it is there in the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela that purportedly the bones of the Apostle James are interred. One of the things that attracted me to the Camino is the fact that St. Francis walked this Camino back in his day. And I guess growing up Catholic, I've always been attracted to some of the lives of the saints. We are all saints. We are all jerks. And it's best to remember that. But one of my favorite quotes that has been close to my heart my entire adult life was Francis's charge to his friars when he said, "Go preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words." That whole notion of living faith rather than simply professing it, or as Again, Rabbi Heschel said it is not being tied to a shrine, but it is the pilgrimage of the heart. And it is something that some people would say has a specific destination, that is heaven. I've always believed we create both heaven and hell right here. But it is that pilgrimage of the heart, that journey of the soul. I know that my dear friend Carrie Newcomer has been a guest here. In the recent past, Carrie and I have been writing together via this medium, Zoom, which we discovered could be used for good as well as evil. And one of the things we talked about at one point was our respective bucket lists. That discussion was spawned because one of the albums I recorded during the pandemic was called Bucket List. And she said, you know, it's always been on my bucket list was walking the Camino de Santiago. And I said, mine too. And that spawned a discussion that went on for many weeks during our weekly Zoom, talking about movies and books and articles and podcasts we have seen. And when I finally told her that I am walking the Camino this May, she said, oh, I can't wait till you get back so that we can write about the Camino. And I said, Carrie, as songwriters, we traffic in writing about things that we have not yet experienced, because writers do not write from experience, they write from empathy. So we decided to write a song about four very different people walking the Camino, and I thought this would be some fertile food for thought for the worship service this morning. I promised my brother we'd do it one day, but we waited 6 months too long. Though this isn't the way we imagined it'd be, I couldn't bear to admit I was wrong. So I carry this small box of ashes, just like I told him I'd do. This last journey we will take together, I walk the Camino for two. I follow the footsteps of Francis, who walked this way centuries ago. I made my vows to the order, but for decades I've struggled to know. So I carry the weight of decision. This God I've been taught is too small. In Santiago I'll lay down my habit, free us both for once and for all. For the way is not only the walking, the pilgrimage more than the miles. Some things you just have to carry along, our joys, our doubts, our trials, just to lay them down at the bones of the saint, no matter how long or how far. We walk the way, we walk the world to Compostela, the field of stars, to Compostela, the field of stars. It's quiet here, not like in Kabul. I've been on some treks in my day. It's lighter without gear and rifle as I walk beneath the great Milky Way. In my pocket I carry a medal I will leave at the tomb name of St. James. My heart I carry a great pressing weight that I struggle each day just to name. For the way is not only the walking, the pilgrimage more than the miles. Some things you just have to carry along, our joys, our doubts, our trials, just to lay them down at the bones of the saint, no matter how long or how far. We walk the way, we walk the world to Compostela, the field of stars, to Compostela, the field of stars. I just got up one morning and went, put one foot in front of the other. Day upon day as I wandered the way, I met a soldier, a nun, and a brother. Each of them carried a burden, and each of them laid it on down. That is the job of the journey, to make it at last holy ground. For the way is not only the walking, the pilgrimage more than the miles. Some things we just have to carry along, our joys, our doubts, our trials, just to lay them down at the bones of the saint, no matter how long or how far. We walk the way, we walk the world to Compostela, the field of stars, to Compostela, the field of stars, Compostela, the field of stars. It is close to time, but probably not so close to time that I can't take any questions or comments if this is the way you all do things there. Or I could simply sing you another song, but it would take in probably a minute into the worship service. Okay, maybe I will do that. This seems like an appropriate one. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this, and may you have a rich meeting for worship this morning. Amidst the roiling of the world all around you, be still. Everything conspires to confound you. Be still. When they offer one more lie, and you know you've had your fill, be still. When you realize fools will go to any length, be still. When you need to find a way to gather up your strength, be still. They don't understand true power, and you know they never will. Be still. When you feel your heart despairing and you don't know where to turn, looking for your bearing as the waves upheave and churn, nothing is more daring than the willingness to learn. Be still, be still. Thomas Merton and the Buddha came before you. Be still. Offering examples to explore you. Be still. Emptiness to overflowing if you only will. Be still. It is relief against the madness that roars on every side. Release against the sadness that rolls on you like a tide. If you seek the gladness that's a sure and steady guide, be still, be still. You need to gather the power of your force. Be still. You first must seek the center of your source. Be still. At the fringes of the fight might work against your will. Standing that the battle will forever be uphill. It takes belief and patience to muster all your skill. And be still. Be still. Be still, friends.